Today, we're taking a plunge into a really interesting section of ancient text, Leviticus chapter 24. Our sources show it covers two, well, pretty distinct things. There are these careful, sacred rituals for, divine presence.
Right, ensuring that connection.
And then, almost out of nowhere, a foundational set of justice laws.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to sort of unpack how both these daily temple routines and this quite dramatic incident that shaped legal ideas work together.
Yeah, how they built order in ancient Israel.
Right.
And what I think is key here is we're not just looking at what they did, but really digging into why. Why these specific rules? Why these legal responses? It gives you, a fascinating glimpse into their core values, the structure they were building.
Okay, so let's start with those routines, the tabernacle stuff. First up is this continuous light. The command is specific. Bring clear oil of pressed olives.
Only the best, yeah.
For the lamps on this pure gold lampstand.
Yeah.
And Aaron had to tend it constantly, evening till morning. A lasting ordinance, it says.
And that continuous light, you have to imagine it. It wasn't just practical light.
No.
It was a powerful symbol. This idea of God's presence, always there, never broken, a constant commitment literally lit up.
Perpetual service.
MOA.
Exactly.
Okay, then there's the bread of the presence.
Ah, yes, the showbread.
Right. 12 loaves, again, very specific, finest flour. 2/10 of an ephah each. So precise measurements.
Very precise. Ritual demands that kind of care.
And they arranged them in 2 stacks, 6 loaves each, on a table of pure gold with pure incense next to each stack, called a memorial portion, an offering.
A symbolic offering, yeah.
And it was done every single Sabbath, a lasting covenant. Then Aaron and his sons ate it, but only in the sanctuary. It was most holy.
And that precision is so striking, isn't it? The ritual detail.
It really is. This bread, it's acting as a symbol of the covenant itself, a constant physical reminder of the relationship between God and the people.
And provision for the priests, too.
Absolutely. Sustaining those dedicated to service, it really binds the community and its leadership together.
Okay, so you have this rhythm of light and bread, this constant tending. But then the chapter, well, it takes a sharp turn.
It really does. Suddenly, we're pulled out of the sanctuary routine.
Right into this dramatic incident. A blasphemer.
Yeah. It starts with a fight between this man, son of an Israelite mother, and an Egyptian father, and another Israelite man.
And in the heat of it, the son blasphemed the name with a curse.
And the name there is crucial. It refers directly to God's holy name.
Which was considered incredibly sacred, almost too sacred to even say.
Exactly. So this was a major transgression. And notice what happens next. He's put in custody.
Held while they waited for the Lord's will to be made clear.
And that pause, that seeking of divine instruction, it just underlines how serious this was.
Yeah.
Even in a crisis, there's a process. They don't just react, they consult. Shows that deep reverence,
So what was the command?
Well, it was very clear. Take the blasphemer outside the camp.
Away from the community's sacred space.
Right. Then, those who actually heard the blasphemy were to lay their hands on his head.
Like a formal testimony.
Exactly, symbolizing their witness and perhaps transferring the guilt. And then, the entire assembly was to stone him.
The whole community.
Yes, that communal act really emphasized the severity. Blasphemy wasn't just a personal sin, it was seen as an attack on the whole community's relationship with the divine. Everyone shared responsibility for upholding that boundary.
Wow. And it's right after this really stark judgment that the text broadens out.
It uses this specific case to lay down wider legal principles.
Including the very famous, or maybe infamous, eye for eye, tooth for tooth.
Right.
It says, anyone who takes the life of a human being is to be put to death. Capital offense.
Clear line there.
But anyone who takes the life of someone's animal must make restitution life for life. So compensation for property.
That distinction is important. Human life versus animal life. And then you get the fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth.
Which sounds incredibly harsh to us.
It does, but context is key. Most scholars see this not as a command for literal physical mutilation in every case.
Oh.
It was more a principle of proportionality, lex talionis. The punishment should fit the crime, essentially. It was actually meant to limit retribution.
Limit it? How so?
Well, instead of escalating feuds where a minor injury could lead to murder, this set a ceiling. The penalty shouldn't exceed the harm done. Eye for eye, not a life for an eye.
Okay. Preventing excessive vengeance.
Precisely. Which raises interesting questions about how we view proportional justice today, doesn't it?
It really does. And then there's this other crucial detail, often missed.
Yes.
You are to have the same law for the foreigner and the native-born. One standard of justice for everyone in the community, regardless of where they came from. Then it just wraps up. Moses tells them they do it.
And that principle of legal equality, and that's a remarkable statement for its time.
Definitely.
It points towards this ideal of a unified society under one divine law, a foundational concept of fairness.
So let's pull this together. What does it all mean? We've seen these meticulous rituals for divine presence.
The light, the bread, that constant connection.
And then these very stark laws for justice and order, sparked by a specific crisis.
Yeah. And what's fascinating, I think, is seeing them side by side, the contrast and the connection.
How so?
Well, you have the life-sustaining symbols, the perpetual light, the nourishing bread, representing relationship and provision. And right alongside, you have the severe, life-ending justice for acts, seen as fundamentally undermining that relationship and community order.
The sacred and the judicial intertwined.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do societies balance those, the nurturing of the sacred and the enforcement of law, and what does putting them together like this tell us about where they believed ultimate authority came from?
Definitely something to chew on as you go about your day.